Hello everybody and welcome to part 13 of what if Izuku Midoriya found the Omnitrix. If you haven't seen the previous parts, there'll be a link in the description below and the annotation above. If you have missed any, you can also check them out there. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like, and if you're new around here, however improbable, because we're at part 13, you can always subscribe. Also, before I want to start, there's a poll in the annotation above. Please tell me your opinion. Do you prefer shorter or longer videos? Because this is probably going to be a very long video, judging by the 8 pages I had to write for this. So I just want to know what you guys prefer so that I know what to do for the future. Azmuth holds his hand up and restates, "The Omnitrix. Give it to me." Midoriya is a bit hesitant, but holds his hand forward, wanting to give him the Omnitrix. Both of them suddenly find themselves on Galvan Prime. Midoriya asks, "Where are we?" Azmuth answers, "Galvan Prime." Midoriya asks, "Where on earth is that?" Azmuth looks at Midoriya in a condescending way. "We aren't on Earth." Midoriya kind of astounded. And Azmuth just says, "Follow me." Midoriya follows Azmuth into his lab, and they both enter. Midoriya looks around in awe at what Azmuth is creating. He spots a device that looks extremely similar to the Omnitrix. Midoriya asks, "What is that?" Azmuth answers, "The Omnitrix." Midoriya looks at his wrist and says, "I thought this was the Omnitrix." Azmuth walks toward the machine and says, "That's just the prototype." "Give me your hand, please." Midoriya stretches his arm. Azmuth puts his arm in a machine so that the Omnitrix is inside it. He then pushes a couple buttons, and a small energy feedback comes out of the machine as the Omnitrix comes out on top of the machine. Azmuth jumps up and grabs the Omnitrix, then jumps down from the machine, walking towards a different machine that looks a bit like a microscope that has some other features. Midoriya says, "What are you really taking it? Why you are really taking it away? Why? I thought my father convinced you I was worthy." Azmuth, while looking through the microscope thing at the Omnitrix and carefully managing the device, says, "Not just your father. There's another man who was a lot more convincing than your father. I still think your father should have it, by the way. You are worthy," is what they convinced me of. I just didn't expect you to use the Omnitrix so carelessly. You keep overloading the core." Azmuth stops looking at the microscope and says, "That should do it. You see, the constant transformations aren't something it was conceived for. So its core needs to be upgraded in order for it to survive the constant transformations, otherwise it will create a lot of problems." Azmuth goes towards the Omnitrix, touching it in a couple key places, and a holographic screen appears. Midoriya can't read any of it since it's all in Galvan. Azmuth messes around with it, unlocking some new aliens for Midoriya. And Azmuth says, "The Omnitrix was originally conceived to walk a mile in another species' shoes, to see from their perspective. It was never designed to fight, but the way you've been using it is extremely tactical and switching from one ability to the next. So you've been overloading the core. I just needed to adjust it. I'm not taking it away. Here you go." And he hands Midoriya the Omnitrix. Midoriya grabs the Omnitrix, putting it back on, and says, "Thank you so much. How can I repay you?" Azmuth says, Yeah, just keep going on the path you're on, and you'll be fine. The day may come when Galvan Prime, or even the whole universe, needs your help. Goodbye." Midoriya says, "Wait, I still have so many questions." But then Midoriya just vanishes. Back on Earth, after the distress signal was sent out by Midoriya's Plumbers badge that is now on the floor, a group of plumbers came to the scene to investigate and help in any way they can. A small ship lands, turning into a truck that advertises a small plumber store. Kevin steps out of the car saying, "I still say I could have driven my car here." Ben jumps out of the van and says, while finishing to put on his uniform. There wasn't enough time to drive all the way out here. Rook's van is faster and it can fly. Gwen and Rook step out of the van. Ben says, "Alright guys, keep your comms on. Search the area. There are villains around. Our priorities here are making sure the students are safe, and we have a way of tracking the league so they can lead us to the level 6 plus technology they have with them. So let's pan out in groups. Me and Gwen and Rook and Kevin." Kevin says, "Hey Tennyson, why don't I go with Gwen and you take Rook?" Ben says, "Nice try, but you guys will just get distracted if we leave you alone, so no chance. Let's go." Kevin says, "Fine," and they start going in different directions, both Ben's group and Kevin's group. Rook asks Kevin, "What is so bad with being paired with me?" as they vanish into the woods. Ben and Gwen do the same, going in the opposite direction. Gwen and Ben make their way through the woods, having a conversation on the way. Gwen says, "All I'm saying is that we can act like professionals if we need to." Ben sees a small fire up ahead and turns to Gwen, giving her the quiet down finger signal. He then points up and she nods. She jumps up into the air. Ben steps out of the bushes, revealing himself to Dobby and Twice. Ben says, "Hey guys, got lost. Do you know where the nearest Mr. Smoothie is?" Dobby looks at Ben and asks, "Who the hell are you?" Ben says, "Me? I'm just a government employee here to place you under arrest, so if you guys cannot resist, that wouldn't be a huge favor for me." Dobby shoots a huge wall of fire and turns to walk away. He says, "Let's go, Twice." Twice says, "Right." The flames dissipate and Ben, standing behind a green shield, says, "You know, that's not really nice." Dobby turns around surprised. Ben quickly grabs his blaster and shoots at Dobby in the arm, stunning it. Twice it makes 2 more Dobbies and both of them run, and the real Twice and the real Dobby run away. Ben asks, "What are you supposed to be?" One of the clones says, "The name's Dobby." And they both shoot flames at Midoriya. The flames are stopped by a pink sphere, trapping the flames inside, burning both of the clones to a crisp. Ben asks, "What the hell, Gwen?" Gwen says, "What? I just saved your life. A little thank you would be nice." Ben says, "I had that handled. You were supposed to follow the 2 villains instead of saving me. I could have made a shield." Gwen says, "You know your power's a lot weaker than mine, and I mean a lot. Your shields were broken." Ben starts running after them and says, "We're losing time. Let's go." Just to clarify here, Ben's quirk is a combination of stat boost and barrier. Some of the quirks that were suggested by me by one of you guys. Addy, shout out to you because you're great and thanks for the suggestions. Ben is an extremely talented individual in main continuity, especially when he applies himself. In this version of events, he can make weaker versions of Gwen's barriers because of his 1/4 anodite DNA combined with the quirk factor, but they're a lot weaker. His quirk, the other side of his quirk, stat boost, allows him to boost all his stats. He kind of levels up and puts points into stuff, so he's faster, stronger, and a bit smarter than usual, and that stuff. Gwen's quirk, she doesn't really have a quirk. She has her anodite powers that were awakened easier because of the quirk factor, so she has the same powers as in regular continuity. In another part of the woods, Rook says, "I just don't see why you would rather be partnered with Gwen than with me. I thought we got along quite well." Kevin says, "We do, it's just me and Gwen have a different kind of a relationship. I don't really know how." Rook interrupts him, pointing in front of him. Mage and Spinner are moving the webbed up pussycats towards the meeting area. Like the ones that they actually caught, there's one that they already got, that Compress already got away with. He whispers, "Sorry, Rook, but this is a lot better than absorbing wood," and starts absorbing Rook's armor. Rook grabs the pro tool and goes in for an attack. Ben and Gwen run after Dobby and Twice, catching up with them, just as Kurogiri appears to retrieve the villains. Kurogiri asks, Who are these people behind you? Toga says, yay, more friends! Can I stab them? Dabi says, these are some government agents or something, I don't really care. Kurogiri says, I see. Mage then jumps out of the woods, screaming, let's go, let's go! Being closely followed by Kevin, who is trying to slash at him with some blades made from his arms, using his powers. Kevin's quirk is basically his Osmosian abilities. He can absorb materials and up to 10% of a living being's powers. So he could technically kill everyone and he could technically kill one for all and get a portion of his powers. But I'm not gonna theorize about that. Ben asks, where's Rook? Kevin, while trying to reach Maine, says, taking care of one of the other villains. Mr. Compress then comes from the woods and says, I got one of the kids. Kurogiri says, let's go then, before things get more out of hand. Ben goes in for an attack, saying, oh no you don't. A portal opens and a robot appears, blocking the path. Ben grits his teeth and says, damn it. Orders. Guys, focus on the robots. Then the villains. The villains then step into the portal. Before the portal closes, though, Spinner runs out of the bushes, jumping into it just in time. Ben says, Rook, how did you let him escape? Rook says, on purpose. I planted a tracker. And now they have to fight the robot. A couple of minutes later, Midoriya reappears in the clearing where he left. Some ambulances are there and some plumber vehicles, along with some police. Midoriya sees Ben screaming, damn it! And punching a tree as strong as he can. Midoriya asks, what's the matter? Ben sees Midoriya and says, at least you're okay. Sorry for getting off temper. It's just, this feels like a total loss. Not used to dealing with these. The League managed to get away with a hostage, no less. One of your classmates. He apparently went on a rampage earlier today. Midoriya's eyes widen as he whispers, Tokoyami. The evening ends, and Midoriya is taken to the nearest hospital along with his classmates to get checked out. The class laments what happened to Tokoyami, that one of their friends, their classmates, had been taken hostage. The class plans to go find the League of Villains, but are stopped by Ida, who says the pros will handle it. Since Midoriya is drafted into the Pro Hero group, like the Pro Hero Strike team, only Kirishima is really willing to go since no one else is willing. So there's no really motivation there, so the plans fall through. Midoriya is drafted along with some plumbers that are Ben, Rook, Gwen, and Kevin into the villain raid team. In this version of events, I'm going to say that Gwen and Rook are in the hideout raid along with Midoriya, whereas Ben and Kevin joined Best Genius, Mount Lady, and Tiger for the Nomu Factory raid. On the news, Aizawa gives his apologies to the media about Tokoyami being taken, giving an official statement, more or less like he does in the anime, while the Pro Hero team prepares to raid the bar. Before starting, Midoriya is trying to calm his nerves a bit, but he's never been in a room filled with so many pros. Gwen walks up to him and says, you know, it's okay to be nervous. If at any time you feel like this is too big for you, you can always run away. Midoriya says, it's not that. I just haven't been in a room with so many heroes. I really want their autographs. It's kind of hard to suppress the urge to ask. A few minutes later, the League of Villains, at the League of Villains bar, they're waiting until Tokoyami wakes up from being hit over the head in their interrogations. They're keeping a spotlight on him so that he can't use his quirk, having found that as useful information. A knocking is heard at the door. Someone says, hello? I got a pit to deliver here. The League of Villains looks at the door and the wall behind Spinners comes crashing down as Alma yells, smash! Shigaraki says, Kurogiri, gate! But before Kurogiri can do anything, Chamalien Woods comes through the hole in the wall saying, preemptive? binding like a chain prison, restraining him and all the other villains. Dabi tries to use his fire to burn through the vines, but it is hit over the head by Gran Torino. Midoriya comes in through the hole using Diamondhead to make a slide that goes up, kind of like using it to make an elevator, and brings Gwen and Rook with him. All Might says, you can't run any more, villains, understand? Because we are here now. Edgeshot comes in sleeping through the door and opens it, revealing a SWAT team of police. Midoriya goes to Tokoyami and unbinds his restraints. Midoriya asks, "Are you okay, Tokoyami?" Tokoyami answers, "Yes, Midoriya. Thank you." Shigaraki starts getting mad. In another part of town, Mountain Lady uses a car to smash into the Nomu factory. Ben says, "Kind of overboard, don't you think?" Kevin answers, "It gets the job done." Best Genius says, "I know both of you are government employees, but you really should focus on the task at hand instead of just chatting." Back at the bar, Shigaraki says, "Kurogiri, what are you waiting for, damn it?" Kurogiri says, "Sorry, Tomura Shigaraki, but the Nomu aren't where they are supposed to be." All Might says, "It seems like your little league underestimated all of us. The soul of this young man, the diligence of the police's investigation, and a righteous fury." Ben radios in saying the Nomu are taken care of, and Edgeshot takes Kurogiri out, kind of collapsing his lower intestine for his insides for a moment. All Might starts gloating a bit, rambling about how they managed to beat the league. Shigaraki starts to get mad. Gran Torino says, "Spill it! Where's your boss hiding?" Rook adds, and we would also like to know where you are keeping the level 6 tech. Lowlifes? Some white Nomu start appearing at the bar as the League and Tokoyami start to disappear. In the factory, the heroes are about to call it a day and take the Nomu into custody and ragdoll to the hospital since she seems to be in a bad condition. Tiger holding her. When some steps are heard coming from further in the factory, a voice is heard saying, "I'm sorry, Tiger, but Ragdoll's quirk was so useful. I just had to take it. How could I not?" Kevin asks, "Who the hell are you?" Best Unit asks, "Are you with the League?" Tiger says, "Someone get us a light!" And Ben shines one from his plumber uniform, showing one for all who has a perfectly healed face and body, thanks to Vilgax's healing matrix. All for One says, "Since my body was mostly destroyed a while ago, I haven't been able to stock up on quirks. But as of recent, thanks to my extraterrestrial allies, that problem has been taken care of. Although I still haven't had the time to get a new quirk, so I say I saw her quirk and I just had to have it." Best Enos reacts, attacking All for One and restraining him using his threads. Mountain Lady says, "Hey, you can't attack him like that. He could just be a bystander." Best Enos says, "Think about it. A moment of hesitation can be the difference between life and death." Best Genius tightens all for One's clothes, but it makes no difference. All for One uses his power, creating a huge explosion that destroys the area around them. Back at the bar, more and more white Nomu start appearing and wrecking the place. Midoriya reacts using Diamondhead, starts restraining as many as he can. Outside, Endeavor is taking care of as many as he can. All Might steps out to see how things are going outside. All Might sees Endeavor and asks, "Are you keeping up?" Endeavor says, "Does it look like I'm having any trouble? Worry about your own responsibilities, you fool. If you're going to go after them, now is the time." All Might says, "Right, I'll leave you to it," and he jumps off. being followed by Gran Torino, but since Gran Torino is slower, he doesn't reach it for a while. Back at the crater that Alpha 1 just created in what used to be the Nomu lab, he claps and says, "I see why you are the number 4 hero, best genist. That blast should have annihilated the lot of you, but you were able to manipulate everyone's clothing and get them out of harm's way. Impressive." Best Genist tries to attack Alpha 1 again. Alpha 1 just throws an air blast puncturing Best Genist's lungs, taking him out of the fight. Alpha 1 says, "Your strength comes from practice and practical experience, not raw power. I don't need your quirk. It wouldn't pair well with Tomura's disposition." Gwen and Kevin get out of a small pile of rubble, and Kevin says, "Wow, that really hurt. Your cousin would have done a lot better job at protecting it than you just did." Ben retorts, "Well, yeah, but she isn't here, so you're stuck with me." Alpha 1 looks at them and says, "So some of you survived the attack of your own accord." He raises his hand and shoots at them again. Ben makes a green energy shield, but it fractures the instant the attack hits it. Both plumbers are thrown back. At this moment, the League of Villains and Tokoyami then materialize in front of Alpha 1. Spinner throws up, and Toko says, "So gross!" Twice says, "This black stuff reeks. I love it!" Shigaraki says, "Master." Alpha 1 says, "So you lost the battle, but you must not be discouraged, Tomura Shigaraki. You can use this as a learning experience. I will help you put everything back into place, so you can start again." Alpha 1 says, "Ah, so you're finally here." He turns around and his All Might comes in for a smash. Alpha 1 meets it with his own attack. Back at the bar, Midoriya gets a bit impatient and says, "This is taking too long." He switches to Echo and then multiplies to about 1,000 copies and surrounds every Nomu. He says, "Sorry everybody," and screams, taking down all the Nomu with a sonic wall and causing ear pain to almost every civilian around. The Nomu fall to the floor. Midoriya fuses all the echoes together and turns back into himself. He looks around and asks, "Where is All Might?" Endeavor says he went to the factory to fight the ringleader. Midoriya turns into Jetray and flies away. Jetray being his fastest alien, he arrives in less than a minute. When he arrives, he finds All Might holding his own against Alpha 1 and Tokoyami trying to keep the League of Villains at bay. Midoriya flies above Alpha 1 and turns into Humangosaur and falls in trying to smash Alpha 1. Alpha 1 smirks and says, "Oh, the kid with the watch," and using an air pressure wave throws Midoriya out of the way, throwing him back against a wall. All Might tries to help Tokoyami but is stopped by Alpha 1. Midoriya sees what All Might is trying to do and thinks. He turns into Ghost Freak and goes underground. He resurfaces next to Tokoyami, touching his legs and pulling him underground as well. He moves a couple of meters away before resurfacing again. He turns into Accelerated and rushes Tokoyami away to safety, leaving him with Endeavor and the other heroes, who have already defeated all the White Nomu. Alpha 1 uses the remote quirk activation to get the League of Villains away before Midoriya returns. When Midoriya returns, he attacks Alpha 1, hitting him again with Humangosaur. Alpha 1 doesn't even flinch at the punch, and punches Midoriya again. He laughs and says, "2 against 1! Finally a fair fight, at least for you." Alpha 1 goes in for a punch, but Alpha 1 just blocks it with his own. Midoriya turns into Diamondhead and shoots a bunch of crystals at Alpha 1. Alpha 1 punches at him, breaking the crystals. Before the attack reaches Midoriya, he switches to Cannonbolt reflexively, even though Cannonbolt wasn't in the previous listing, taking the attack. Midoriya asks, "Who the hell is this guy?" It's one of the aliens Azmuth unlocked. Midoriya switches to Fasttrack and starts punching All For One over and over again. All Might goes in for an attack but is met by All For One's punch. At this point, All Might has exhausted all of One For All and he seems like a combination of his Small Might form and his buff form. Midoriya turns into Echo and surrounds All For One, sending a sonic wave. One of the clones turns to All Might and asks, "Are you okay?" All Might says, "Just fine, young Midoriya, but not for very long. I'm running out of power here. We need to finish things quickly. Can you turn into the guy you turned when you fought against me? You should be able to take care of All For One." Midoriya looks down and says, "No, I can't." Midoriya is then hit from behind by One For All's attack. He destroyed all the other Echoes. Midoriya switches to another alien and says, "Let me tell you something, you big mean guy. Rath is going to beat the crap out of you and save the day." Midoriya jumps in to attack All For One. All For One attacks Midoriya with a blast. Midoriya reflexively switches into Ghost Freak and phases through the attack. And then he changes to what was his name again? Big Chill, and freezes All For One. Midoriya lands on the ground and says, "That should take care of that." All For One breaks through the ice and grabs Midoriya's throat. He then touches the Omnitrix. Midoriya turns back into himself. All For One grabs Midoriya by the wrist and says, "You see, All Might? This is the most powerful device in 3, maybe 5 galaxies. It's in the hands of a child. Not only that, you've ignored his potential. I would have given him One For All by this point. It's more powerful than you and I combined. But it's wasted in such a naive boy." All For One touches the device, and the Omnitrix says, "Commandment mode accepted. Deactivating. Rebooting systems." All For One then throws Midoriya's body on the floor next to All Might. All Might clenches his fist and attacks All For One. All For One grabs the attack and says, "Such a pitiful attempt. 5 years ago you were much more of a threat. I guess I did a number on you, huh? I mean, you did damage to me, to the point that I almost died. But thanks to some alien technology, here I am, good as new. The cosmos is much bigger than I previously thought, and it's incredible, the possibilities. But you are still a pain in my back, All Might. And honestly, I'm going to kill you. And when I'm done, I'm going after Mirio Togata, your successor." All Might's face. All Might, your face. Where's that smile? All Might says, "My smile may be gone, and you may defeat me, but my spirits will never falter." All For One grins and says, "Is that so? Well, here's a juicy tip. You know Tomoe Shigaraki? My successor? His real name is Tenko Shimura." All Might's eyes widen as he looks at All For One in horror. Midoriya gets up and tries to switch to an alien using his might, but it doesn't work. All Might looks at Midoriya and asks, "Are you alright?" Midoriya says, "Just fine," while blood comes down his forehead. He tries to switch again, but it still doesn't work. Midoriya says, "Fine, we'll have to do things the old-fashioned way." Midoriya opens up the Omnitrix and slams it back in. A towering figure appears out of nowhere, being probably 50 feet tall. All For One looks at Midoriya, who just turned into way big, and says, This is unexpected." Midoriya says, "Okay, you're in trouble now." Midoriya then punches at All For One. All For One meets the punch, barely managing to hold back the attack. He then powers up his other arm, putting it up, trying to hold Midoriya's arm up. All Might then focuses all of his power on one arm and rushes towards All For One while he's distracted, screaming, "United States of Smash!" and a huge blast of air occurs as All Might just exhausted all of One for All into that one punch, all he'd had left. And when the dust settled, All Might stands victorious, in his Small Might form lifting his arm to show victory, a giant figure standing, towering behind him. The newscast shows All Might as he turns into his buff form. 5 minutes pass. Midoriya returns back to his regular self, since he is back to an energy basis timer for the Omnitrix, thanks to All for One. All Might points to the camera, turning to his buff form, and delivers one final message as the symbol of peace. Next, it's your turn. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Sorry if the video was a bit too long for your liking, but still, if you enjoyed, hit that like button. If you want more long videos, again, let me know in the poll above. And if you aren't already, make sure to subscribe. I already have the plans for the next few parts for this series, but if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And until next time, everyone.